if you're like me, making decisions is like you just really stress and have a hard time making decisions. You're like, well, do I go this way or do I go that way? And you really can get paralyzed by making decisions, and then you end up doing nothing at all. Hi, welcome to the Creation Speaks podcast by Sean Brown. In this podcast series, my heart is to encourage and help others become more, to challenge you to grow, to reach for those dreams that you might have, to overcome that addiction, to just help with the daily grind. Sometimes life can seem monotonous, but I want to remind you that God is at work, and that we're also told that we're His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So together, I hope we discover more of, one, the heart of God and His heart towards us. Enjoy. Hello, I'm so glad you could join with me today. I want to really talk a bit about decisions and progress because, if you're like me, making decisions is like you just really stress and have a hard time making decisions. You're like, well, do I go this way or do I go that way? And you really can get paralyzed by making decisions, and then you end up doing nothing at all. So I want to really talk about that forward momentum. And I do believe that we're to bring those requests to God. We're to pray about decisions. We're not just going through life just haphazardly, but we're praying about it. But I think we need that forward momentum. And there's an interesting verse that is kind of fascinating to me. I just kind of go back to it quite a bit. And it's Proverbs 14:4. And it says, where no oxen are, the trough is clean, but much increase comes by the strength of an ox. And basically what he's saying here is, if you want a clean trough, there's not going to be any oxen. But when you get oxen, it can be a bit messy. It's not going to be clean, but there's increase, there's revenue, there's progress. And it comes with, I think what he's saying here is that, life, it's going to be messy and you need to be moving. You can have a tidy life and not do anything at all, but that's it. But if you want to see some progress, you got to kind of get down in the mud and take some action. And yeah, you're going to maybe step on some cow patties or whatever, but there's going to be progress. And I think there's a lot to be said about in the scriptures about not being lazy, about moving forward. Even Paul said he moves forward. He presses on. Paul's a great example. I like to look at his life because he's just like moving straight ahead. And you see how God leads his life as you read about him in the scriptures, that it's like God opens doors and closes doors. He brings circumstances. Yeah, Paul, he had a heart for God. He did pray. He did seek God on what he wanted him to do, but he was moving forward. And I think for each of us, that forward momentum is a good thing. And you know what it really comes down to? And like with me, even with making a decision, I'll make a decision and then, it's like then you start questioning that decision you made. It's like, well, maybe I should have done that. Or like if something bad happens, then you start questioning, well, maybe that wasn't the best decision. And I don't know, sometimes we won't know if it was the right or wrong. It's like, well, something bad happened, so did that mean that I made a bad decision? Not necessarily. I mean, bad things happen and difficulties will arise. I mean, even in Paul's life, you look at him, he had shipwrecks and physical ailments, and didn't mean that he was making bad choices. It just meant that those things were happening. And God would use those things to help steer his life to where he wanted them. And so, maybe it's time to get a little messy, get your hands dirty, start moving forward, working on that forward momentum, and then boiling it down to, Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, because sometimes, your own understanding is misleading. And what I say, and I'm kind of thinking this in light of when I make a decision and then I start questioning that, well, our own understanding, it's going to process different events and think, well, maybe because it's bad things happening, I didn't go in the right direction. But that's not necessarily true. So don't lean on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. You're praying about it. You're bringing it to him, acknowledging God. And what does it say? God is going to direct your steps. He promises. It's not he might direct your steps, but he will direct your steps. And if you have steps, talking about that forward momentum, you're praying about it, you're bringing it to him, you're trusting him, and then you start walking that forward momentum. Okay, God, here I go, and I'm going to just trust that you're directing my steps. And I think God's peace and the peace of God will guard your heart and mind. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your steps. So I hope that encourages you today to move forward with some forward momentum. Talk to the Lord about it, trust him, but then begin to walk, trusting that he is working in and through you and that he's got it. He's got it. And just rest in that. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you want to connect with me more, head over to my website, creationspeaks.com. Let me know what you think. And send in your thoughts. And until next time, have a great day. Well, thank you again for tuning in to this episode on Creation Speaks podcast. If you want more podcasts and devotions, head on over to our website, creationspeaks.com. And there I do a lot of writing. I post audio and video. And then I also do some of my woodworking. So a great way to support this is I do handmade wooden pens, coffee scoops, and other items. And I enjoy making things, sharing, and I hope through it all that you might find some encouragement and know that you're created in the image of God. As a believer, you've been redeemed and God started to work in you. And I hope together we can grow together. Again, thanks again, and talk to you next time.